What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chaotic Minds. As always, you got Winged
And a minute.
and oh my goodness, I am tired.
This weather.
I don't know why I'm so tired.
It's the weather. It's been insane here.
So, for those of you who
Aren't aware?
aware or aren't in the United States, we've been having some really weird weather here recently. I mean,
We're in Colorado, keep in mind.
which is typically a drier state. You know, part of Colorado has a desert in it. Denver was named the sunniest city in America for many a year. But so far this year, it's just been don't
One
get me
after
wrong,
another.
I'm not minding it whatsoever.
Because we do need the moisture.
We do need the rain.
But seriously, can we have a break here?
I mean, I will say I would rather have a lot of rain than be in a drought all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm
have
pretty sure
these huge ass
California,
fires, and
pretty sure California can agree with that.
because they own our water rights, which is really
Actually,
weird.
they don't own our water rights. They buy water from us.
Really
but
weird.
no, I was talking more along the lines of drought and wildfires.
Yeah.
But then you have the wildfires that happen
Canada.
up in Canada that turn New York City's sky and lights red, Blood Moon, Silent Hill style.
My mom lives in upstate New York.
Yeah.
It lives 29 miles from the border of Canada.
Okay.
They had, I believe my mom said it was called a air quality warning.
Oh yeah.
Basically, they shut everything down. If you weren't emergency services, you weren't on the road.
I mean,
The air quality was so bad.
We had that a year ago when those fires were starting up, or when those fires happened in Arizona
And southern Colorado and
and so we were under we were under a watch, but
Yeah.
not
Oh no, they were literally told to
stay inside.
close their doors, lock their windows, put something around cracks. They literally were, the town that they live in was delivered by emergency services, was 3 filters for each and every house in that town
Yeah.
to put in their AC, changing it out for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They've been changing their filters since the start of those fires in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that you literally could not walk outside. My mom's dog smelled like soot and smoke when he went outside to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he didn't even go very far. He went as far as the porch. So now their porch smells like dog pee.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting really a whole lot of rain at this point. Hence the reason the major wildfires in Canada. Because I've never in my lifetime heard of a huge-ass wildfire in Canada like I have this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm 40 years old and I've never heard of a wildfire in Canada.
Wildfires happen
Everywhere.
pretty much everywhere that there is shrubbery and storms. You know, you're not going to hear of a wildfire in, the middle of a barren desert, but you will hear about wildfires in California, here in Colorado. Pennsylvania had a couple when I was younger. And if they happen naturally, like a storm comes through and lightning strike and it causes a fire, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It gets rid of all the dead plants and dead stuff.
Yeah.
All the soot that's left behind turns into natural fertilizer for the soil, which then enriches it, which makes this plant stronger and healthier and, yada, yada. But human-made, man-made fires that because of stupid negligence, that's another story. But the weather here has been so topsy-turvy I've been out here in Colorado for 10 years now,
Yeah.
and I'm used to like it's hot during the summer. We do get rain, but not a whole lot. And we've had more rainy days
In the last in
and
June,
it's not even like a sprinkle or like a drizzle.
it's a
or like
torrential downpour
yeah, it is a like there were 2 days this past week that we had golf ball size hail
or larger.
or larger within like 24 hours of.
So there was, I believe it was a, don't quote me,
Okay.
but I believe it was like a One Direction or some teeny bopper music thing going on at Red Rocks the other day.
Okay.
When I was at work, that was Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And there was tennis ball sized hail
Yeah.
that came down on that concert. They were dragging people to safety to get cover at Red Rocks. And I mean,
I've driven through Red Rocks once before, but I've never actually been inside the venue.
Okay, so you remember at Fiddler's Green how it's that whole open area for the theater area?
Yeah.
And the only real cover is the stage.
Okay.
Think of less cover than that. Like the stage is partially opened up.
Oh, okay.
And there is no like tunnel areas. You know how you go down the stairs and go to the different parts of Fiddler's Green? How there's safety in that tunnel area? Nope. Red Rocks is completely open. All their vendors are in the open. All their people are like the whole 9 yards. Everybody is in the open. The stage is partially in the open. They keep the equipment towards the back of the stage because it's covered. Like, there were thousands of people at that concert. I don't know exactly the exact number, but I work at a hospital that's about 30 minutes, I would say, from Red Rocks, and we were getting patients. That's how many people got hurt.
Oh, jeez.
The hospital that's near Red Rocks, St. Anthony's, which is like 2nd and Union, they were on complete bypass. They weren't allowed to take any more patients other than the ones they already had.
Wow.
Like, there were that many people hurt. I mean, tennis ball size hail. Somebody got a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
And it's just been insane.
And then by your old work, there was a tornado that actually touched down.
So, yeah, and like, I used to work at that flooring place that we talked about a while back out in Highlands Ranch, and there was a tornado on Wednesday night, or Thursday during the day. Like in the middle of Highlands Ranch, just a small EF1. I mean, if you guys have never looked up the Fujita scale, look it up. It's quite comical. It goes from 0 to, holy crap, that's a lot of damage in 5 tornadoes. But it's like, the weather has been that insane here. And I don't remember, like, the only time I remember weather being this bad wasn't even in Colorado. Like, when I was growing up, yeah, granted, here in Colorado, I believe it was in the late 70s, early 80s, my dad was telling me about being here. He was drinking coffee at a restaurant at Denny's on 38th and Fox. It's now a Brothers Barbecue, I think.
Okay.
But the Great Denver Flood happened because just so much rain and so much BS happened over a course of a few days.
Yeah.
And there was people were standing on the roof to be safe of the Denny's. Like, it was that insane. And I mean, other than that, I've never had I've never heard of any like huge weather issues or massive storms back to back to back like we've been having.
Well, I mean,
And it's
part
not
of
going to
it.
give us a break. It's actually supposed to go again this afternoon.
Well, part of it is there's a storm system that keeps building and moving and then building and moving off the coast of California. And when it moves right over us. And then there's there's like a tropical storm that's forming in the Atlantic that's moving toward the East Coast, which is then moving stuff up and away from it because it's pushing everything out. So it's like we're building a giant low pressure system over like parts of the country, and that just brings about like lots of storms.
And cranky, tired people.
I'm not cranky right now.
No, and it's not even you or me. It's like we get overly tired when storms like that
I
come
especially
through.
do when like if a storm would come when a storm comes ripping through. Like these last couple days have been nicer because
It's harder rain.
it's sudden.
Heavier.
It's a sudden storm. You know,
Not one of those annoying slow builds.
Yeah. So like the slow build storms give me migraines, and typically when a slow build storm happens, you know, I get that migraine, I pass out for an hour or two.
Sometimes longer, depending on how the storm is.
Yeah. But
Or pain.
these storms that have been coming here recently have just been like, hey, it's sunshine one minute, and next minute, you know, I look outside and crack a thunder, you know, flash of lightning, and
here comes the rain.
Here comes rain and hail and shit like that, and it's just like, okay, but it's the overall like darker skies. Now, I enjoy the darker skies.
Oh yeah,
I prefer
love it.
I love overcast. I prefer overcast days because I can walk outside and not have to have on a pair of sunglasses.
I learned the hard way that overcast days are the easiest way to get sunburned.
Oh yeah, because the sun is focusing through the clouds, which is just intensifying. Overcast days you want to wear sunscreen. even on overcast days you want to wear sunscreen.
Like the only time I remember getting burnt growing up was on an overcast day. I'd been playing out in the rain. It stopped raining. I was still running around with a couple of my friends, and next thing I know, I look like my face looks like a freaking lobster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only time I ever really got burnt as a kid. Like my face was beet red, and my mom and my dad, when I got back home, were like, "What the hell happened to your face?" I'm like, "What?" And my dad, smart ass dad, pokes me in the nose, and I'm like, "What the heck, Dad?" And he pulls up his a mirror because he was an Army guy, so he always had Boy Scout motto.
Anyways,
and I looked, and it's just like, he goes, "Yeah, you probably should have wore sunscreen today." "Why? There's clouds." He goes, "Okay, lesson number 1, overcast.
Mm-hmm.
You need sunscreen. It's actually worse to not wear sunscreen in overcast than it is in sunny weather."
Yep. But no, like I prefer overcast days because it's not as bright.
And it's not as hot.
Most times. Like growing up back home, overcast days you had a 50-50 shot. So like there were some overcast days where, you know, the cloud cover, you know, it kept the temperature down. It was cooler that day. And then there were some days, you know, there was a nice breeze going, and then there were some days
where it was like a blanket.
And it was like a blanket, and you were inside a humidifier, and it was just like it was 68 degrees or 70 degrees.
But that brings up
with like 90% humidity.
But that brings up a very good point. The humidity level, like it could be the same temperature here as where your parents are in the Carolinas, right?
Yeah.
But because humidity here sucks typically.
We are typically drier.
That's what I'm saying. It's like because our humidity is so low, And the humidity out there, because the ocean is so high, it actually feels hotter there
Oh yeah.
than it does here, even though we may be the same temperature.
Oh yeah. So like I used to live in South Carolina before my parents moved out there. And I went outside one day and it was 112 with a heat index of 115. And I was sweating until I stopped sweating and I started down the path of heat stroke. And it was like I was miserable. Now, like we've gotten pretty hot out here. Like last year, I think we hit like 107 out here. I can't remember, but it was hot. It was overbearingly hot. But it wasn't like I was miserable, but I wasn't as miserable. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like I was drowning in sweat.
Yeah.
It was just like somebody took me and stuck me over fire.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody took me and then stuck me in a sauna. You know, it was just two completely different things. Like you want to feel how it gets in like an area if you're not from like anywhere near where a coastline is and you want to know what it feels like to be hot and by the coastline, go find a sauna, like a wet sauna. And just sitting there for like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then if you are on the East Coast and you want to know what it feels like to have just like that dry heat, go find a dry sauna and sit in that for like 20 30 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. So, same amount of time. And that is the difference. Like it is a different level of hot. And honestly, I prefer the dry heat because if I'm going to catch on fire, at least I'm catching on fire from fire.
Yeah.
Not being boiled alive in my
like
own
a sous
skin.
vide.
I do not need to know what it feels like to be a lobster.
But no, it's like this weather has like taken such a drastic turn lately that it's like, yeah, we need the moisture, but good God, can we catch a break here?
For the first time in how many years, California has lifted a lot of its drought conditions in a lot of its cities.
Colorado isn't in a drought anymore.
Yeah. But yet, in some areas of the country, like Texas, they are in drought conditions. They're, it's granted Texas, that's a whole nother kit and caboodle, taken out.
Texas is weird. I've lived there for too many years.
The Texas governor went ahead and got rid of mandatory water breaks. And the only break that they will follow is the federally mandated ones.
Yeah, until they start having people pass out or dying.
Well, that's the thing. Like, OSHA is working on, he's like, we're going to follow what the federal mandate states and what OSHA states. And OSHA has been working on,
changing the rules and stuff like
they're
that.
doing research on, like, heat-related problems.
Oh, so Texas is an experiment.
But typically it takes, like, 7 years for anything to move forward. But, like, Texas is going through a heat spell. But then again, like last year, 2 years ago, Texas got a shitload of snow for the first time and pretty much shut the state down.
Yeah, they were like, what the hell is this?
Yep.
Like that funny song that Nightmare Before Christmas. The fuck.
Yeah.
The fuck.
But like there's a bunch of like I watch.
There's unprecedented.
I watch
weather
Puffer.
events going
I watch
on.
Big Puffer. I watch Grizzy. On Twitch and on YouTube, and like Grizzy's a bigger guy. Puffer is
a thinner guy. He's not.
He's not like super skinny, but he's not like Grizzy. If Grizzy and Puffer are standing side by side, Grizzy is built like a brick shithouse, and Puffer is built like
one of those old wooden outhouses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they have been working on their health. Like, have you seen some of Grizzy's
Grizzy, dude, lost
gym
some
pictures?
weight.
Holy crap, dude! Like, He not only has he lost some weight, but he is like bulking. Like I honestly think that there's gonna come a point where Grizzy is gonna not have a neck, and he's just gonna like in order for him to turn left or right, he is just gonna have to rotate. But Puffer's been going to the gym too.
Yeah.
And he's been trying to work out and bulk up too. Not to Grizzy's extent, but like he's still been going. But like those guys were stuck. It like this was back when they lived together. They were stuck in the house and Puffer was gonna try to drive to the store, couldn't get out of the driveway, so he walked and then walked back. And the only store that they could make it up to was the gas station, so he raided what was left of the gas station stuff, and it wasn't like anything like it was like microwave meals or like Hot Pockets or something like that. And Grizzy's like, "Oh man, you know, we need to go get some more stuff." And Puffer's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna walk down there again." He goes, "Hold up, no." Grizzy straight up told Puffer, "No, you're not walking. We'll figure out a way, you know." And Postmates and DoorDash and stuff like that was still working to an extent. So they were doing that, but like
where was this?
Texas.
Oh shit.
They live in Texas.
I am so sorry.
Granted, they
guys.
don't live together anymore, but they live in the same neighborhood.
I am so sorry, guys.
But then like you have the Carolinas and down in the South, they're still getting what they normally get because they have the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean right there that is pushing everything in. But Louisiana is under heat watch and heat warnings.
But do you know what I mean, though? These weather conditions all across the U.S. have, like, been flipped on their heads. Like, what happened to us being a dry heat here in Colorado?
Well, a lot of that has to do with climate changing.
Don't say that word.
I don't give a shit. We
Global warming.
Fuck you. It's a cycle. It's a cycle.
Global warming and cooling is real. Shut the fuck up, people.
But the problem is we didn't experience it when it happened
the last time
centuries ago.
That's
like
what
we
I'm
weren't
saying.
around for that. You know, back in like the 1300s, there was like many years where it was, you know, people in England, and there's documentation of this, where it was hot, you know, it was hot. And then like there was like a year where it was considerably colder, and then that winter hit and everything froze.
Well, see,
and
I'm
not joking when I say everything froze. Like it was so cold that people were shut away. They didn't go anywhere. They ate what they had. But a lot of the poorer communities died and froze to death in their houses, and it wasn't until like end of spring going into summer of the following year that these people were finally able to get to these houses and found people inside still frozen.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about fucking cryogenics, Jesus. You know, but like we weren't living back then, so we don't really have a whole lot of comparison.
Yeah.
But also back then too, they didn't have all the technological advances that we do, and they weren't assisting as much in raising the global temperature. Now the planet as a whole, humanity as a whole, have made strides to reverse what we can.
Yeah.
But there are still some of those people that are like, well, this isn't really a problem. I'm going to keep dumping millions of
gallons of waste into the water
and into the air. And it's like, okay, you know, fine. You're really fucking it up, not just for you, but for, you know, your ancestors. But who cares? You won't be around. You won't be around for that.
And see, the funny thing is like even some huge trucking companies are switching to more
eco-friendly stuff.
Eco-friendly.
I mean, RTD, a lot of their
has
buses,
electric.
A lot of their buses are either electric or hybrid.
Yep.
You know, there are very few buses that are running off of just pure fossil fuel. The trains, you know, our metro system.
Not to mention that gas
better.
is fucking expensive.
Gas has gone up. However, California is no longer the leader in the most expensive gas.
No.
No, I'm letting you know.
I know.
Um,
But the thing is like these weather conditions, it's like everybody is like, well, why is this happening? Why are we getting this? Why are we getting that? And it like you were saying, it's that cycle. The thing is we have like you said, we have all this technology and these advancements and these systems and stuff like that. They have they have named two very specific weather patterns that represent those changes of the hot and cold cycles. And right now we are smack dab in the middle of an El Nino cycle.
well, El Nino and
La Nina.
La Nina, they're not indicative of what's going on. They are a weather pattern that hovers over the southern area, and that I think that's not, like I said, that's not indicative of what is going on with that, because like
But you
the
can
last
take
couple
that
years,
you can take that picture of that of those weather systems, and here in Colorado, because we are probably a really good centralized
it
location,
enhances or it hinders the weather cycles, the weather
Exactly.
patterns that
and
are
we
happening.
can kind of predict how, like I told you last year when we didn't get much snow, that El Nino,
which was depressing.
yeah, I like the snow, I just don't like the cold because people are idiots. But no, like I told you then, I was like, this summer is going to suck because it's going to be hot as balls
But the
and
thing
we're going
is,
to get a lot of rain.
It hasn't been like super hot. Like, yeah.
We just hit the first day of summer 2 days ago.
Well, we had like take last year for example, right? It was like 100-degree weather by now. Like the other day, we hit 90 for the first. I think for the first time.
The thing is, the humidity level. Because we've gotten so much moisture. And I mean, when I say a lot of moisture, keep in mind that I love snow. I love rain. I love all of that. I hate driving in it because, A, people drive like idiots normally. People drive like idiots normally. It's worse when there's weather. But it gets kind of scary when you see golf ball size hail coming down on your vehicle and you're trying to drive your child to an orthodontist appointment and you have to pull over because it is that bad. It literally looks like a sheet of ice coming down.
I mean, I've driven in like torrential downpours before, and it I will agree.
Downpours are great. I can deal with that, but the golf ball size hail coming down at you,
I've driven an ice
I
storm
was afraid
before.
I was afraid that it was going to break that sunroof.
I've driven an ice storm before, so like I know what it's like. I have not driven in hail, but I know what it's like to see that sheet of ice in front of you, and not on the ground, but like vertical.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird thing, and it's like I had to pull over because I literally thought it was either going to break the sunroof, which I haven't checked the sunroof because I'm afraid to, but I thought it was going to break the windshield. You've got hail damage to the hood of the Jeep right now, which, whatever. But when your 14-year-old child is sitting in the passenger seat beside you, and every time we get hit by a hail ball, it's like, ah! Like we were jumpy as shit. Not to mention we had coffee on board, but that's another story.
Well, speaking of, like, let's go in. Let's keep on the weather thing.
Roll into some funny ones.
Let's keep on the weather thing, but let's make this a little more personal for us here. What is your favorite weather story from when you're growing up, even up till now, and what is your most terrifying weather story?
So, most terrifying weather story was 95. Like 95, 96 area. It was 95 because it was the beginning of the school year. It was like August, September. And late storm system. Like, we lived in Arlington, Texas. And We just moved down there for my dad's work, and we lived in this trailer park. Anybody on the planet knows that if there's a trailer park, the tornado is probably going to hit it.
Trailer parks are
Magnets.
magnets for tornadoes.
We don't know why. It just historically happens. But we had
I mean, I have opinions on why that happens, but,
thunderstorms rolling through Arlington. And this one in particular did not look like much of anything at all. There were breaks in the clouds. There was sun shining on part of the trailer park that we lived in on the far end. On our end, it was a little grayer. We had this little culvert ditch area behind. Nice little river, like little stream that had frogs, tadpoles, and stuff like that, okay? Then we had the centralized bathhouse, which it was basically a brick shit house. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's just this one big, huge communal area that was the bathrooms.
it's kind of like
showers.
when you go camping, you have like a centralized pooping area.
Yeah. So that was out in the middle of the field. So we had neighbors on both sides of us. On one side was an older couple, and on the other side was some crazy ass white guy that just was really creepy.
Anyways,
So this storm in particular didn't look like much at all. We weren't thinking anything of it. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we took our showers or baths or what have you, and then we got our school clothes on the next day, all but our socks and shoes.
nope. Growing up, when we took showers, we got into pajamas, and then we had when we were picking out our clothes for the next day, we sat them on top of our dresser, or we sat them on a chair or on a shelf or something like that.
But for some reason, my dad always made us get in our school clothes, all except for our socks and shoes, right? So we were supposed to start school the next day, and it was a Sunday night, and we were all excited. Brand new school. I was excited because I was going to middle school. It was my first year in middle school. And so I was down there ready to go to school. I had already met a couple of people that I would go to school with, all that. Well, so we were dressed. We had gotten in bed for the night. And then about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden, tornado sirens start blazing. And we could feel the trailer rocking.
Well, tornadoes at night are tornadoes during the day are scary. Tornadoes at night are downright terrifying.
Well,
you can't see where they're coming from.
Oh, this one you could, because we lived on a street, a major street called Cooper Street, South Cooper Street, and so there was the trailer park, the stream, a large parking lot. There was a bar and a restaurant and a couple of other little mom and pop stores. And then the street was right there. So the distance between us and the street was a parking lot, basically. Parking lot and the stream.
Okay.
So 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning rolls around, and the tornado sirens go off. And I freak out, because we had never heard them before. We'd heard them practice ones here in Colorado, Washington, wherever we were at. Okay. So we'd heard them before, but only for a few seconds at a time, and then they'd shut them off.
Making sure that they were working.
Yeah. So when it just continued and continued and continued, my dad comes blazing in, and he's like, you guys need to get out. We need to get out of the trailer and get over to the bathhouse. Well, instead of picking up his children, he grabbed the elderly neighbors and bolted towards the bathhouse, So my dad and the elderly neighbors are in the bathhouse, leaving my mom with a 12 or 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old to get wherever. Well, by the time, because he wanted us to grab at least shoes because he wanted our feet protected. We all had Velcro shoes at that point because Velcro shoes were the shit. So we slip on our shoes and we go bolting out the door. By the time we bolt out the door, you could look over towards Cooper Street down about a block and you could see the funnel cloud. My mom panicked because it was about 100 yards to the bathhouse. So my mom, quite literally at 5'3" tall, picked up all three of us kids in one fell swoop, jumped in the ditch, the little stream behind the house, and covered us with herself.
Yeah.
And you could, and there was like, I don't know if they're handles, but there's these bars that catch like debris and stuff.
Well, that's what they're meant for, that, and they're also meant so that way people can get in and out and like do service work if something was to happen.
So my mom grabbed two of them. Like, she was on top of us, pressing us against the wall of this ditch. And she grabbed two of the handles and she was holding on. And I could feel the grip. Like, she was white knuckling that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we could feel the wind and the pressure. Well, when it was all said and done, we didn't realize exactly how close that tornado was to us.
Yeah.
Until we got up when it finally fell silent. And I mean, there is a difference between being quiet nightlife, hearing sirens, hearing this, that, and the other.
An absolute
silence. Like, you could hear a pin drop.
Outside.
Silent. Like, no animals, no humans, no sirens, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom didn't even let us up. She said, stay there. Keep in mind, we're all in brand new clothes, which are now ruined.
Yeah.
But she said, stay there. She looks, and the brick shit house, down on the ground. Like, half of it was down on the ground. There was rubble on top of people. It was the half that had the windows for the shower stalls.
Yeah.
But, like, there was the elderly couple. They made it. The husband had a broken hip because one of the pieces of debris fell on him.
Yeah.
My dad made it out without a scratch. Walks over into our trailer, grabs a beer, and just goes and sits out on the lawn. Keep in mind, we're still...
Well, stress does weird things.
Yeah.
Going through something like that is stressful, and it is traumatic in its own right. So, like, that's... Some people, when they go through that kind of stuff, they just shut down.
But then, when my mom finally gets us up and takes us out of the ditch, and we all get up, the first thing that I remember after that is looking around.
Yeah.
And looking at what damage was done.
Yeah.
So our trailer, the elderly couple's trailer, both perfectly fine. The creepy dude, who a lot of us swore was a predator, his trailer, destroyed. The next three trailers, destroyed. All the KKK members that lived all the way across the trailer park, their trailers, destroyed. Everybody else, perfectly fine.
Yep.
Like, it took a targeted path.
Yeah. So that was a terrifying one. That was the scariest one. What's your favorite one?
My favorite one has to be when I first moved out. I was 18 years old, like right after I got back from the military. Me, my friend Eva, and another friend of ours, Chad, we rented an apartment. We were all sitting in the front area or in the area that faced the little parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just sitting there chilling because it had a nice overhang. And we were just watching the rain, listening to the thunder, watching the lightning. And we were sitting there just kicking back, those metal folding chairs?
Yeah.
Well, we had ones that were wood.
Okay.
They had it was a little thick, sturdy wooden folding chair, right? So we were just chilling, kicking back. We literally had our chairs tipped where the back of it was touching the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We were just chilling there. And so thunder, lightning, rain going crazy, right? No hail as of yet. So we're sitting there and we're just chilling, having a beverage.
You were drinking.
Yeah, we were drinking. And we were just sitting there watching this weather, and then all of a sudden, we turned to each other, and, you could feel this, electricity in the air.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, shit. So we both sit up, and our chairs are now all 4 feet are on the floor. And then probably 50 feet in front of us, in the middle of the road, boom, lightning strikes. And we go, whoop. And we're sitting up against the wall again. And we're like, well, time to go outside.
Yep.
Because I still stayed outside for another hour because I was like, do it again. I love weather. And I love watching the strangest shit happen. I could be driving down Federal Boulevard and stop at a stoplight. A little tornado touches down, goes back up, and the light turns green. That happened.
Yeah.
So that was a funny one. That was more of a funny one. I had all 3 kids in the car and was just driving down Federal. Weather been crazy the last few days, right by the Hooker House. Just south of there, actually, Yale and Federal. We stopped at the stoplight, and then all of a sudden there's this little tornado. And it goes down, waits for a few seconds, goes back up, and we're like, okay. Keep driving. But no, that one that was the lightning strike in Lakewood, it was just funny because we're like, you could feel the electricity in the air before a lightning strike.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just really bizarre to us, for me especially, because I had not felt that ever.
Yeah.
And, we both sit up and we're looking at each other. We got that weird tingle, and we're like, is that the alcohol? Are we smoking something? What's going on here? And then boom, and you feel that hit.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't hit you, if it hits near you, you can feel that pressure.
Oh, yeah.
It hit, and we're like, okay, time to go inside.
So, most terrifying for me. I was stationed down in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah.
At Keesler Air Force Base. And...
Did you say Keister?
Keesler.
Oh, I was like, Keister? What the fuck?
I was down there for training. And we're all, it's after training period's over, after school's done, and we're all just walking around. We just got done with PT. And so I go upstairs, shower, get changed out into CW clothes, and I'm just walking around base. And all of a sudden, it was already an overcast day, but then it went ahead and just got darker. And I'm like, oh,
that eerie dark?
Yeah. And I'm like,
Silent
oh,
Hill.
we're which is rare for that base, because in front of it, a mile in front of the base, is the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And then
you're just off the coast.
Behind the base is a bay that connects to the Gulf of Mexico. That is not a small bay. It's a bigger bay. So Keesler is surrounded by high pressure.
Yeah.
Due to the water.
Yeah.
So it almost has this bubble.
The bubble effect, the kind of
the
dome effect on the town. Yeah.
I mean, for example, February, 0 dark 30. Like sun hasn't even thought about coming up yet. You have to go outside and get ready to go to school. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning for those who aren't military. Um,
Zero dark 30 is an actual time.
but I walk outside and I go from inside my barracks, and I have a fully pressed uniform. Shoes are shined. I'm looking good. 30 seconds after walking outside, and the the creases in my shirt have fallen. I've sweated so much that it's dripped onto my boots and ruined my shine. Like it is high pressure in this area all the time.
Yeah.
So when I say it's overcast and it looks like it's about to just open up, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking up. I'm like, oh,
extra starch for those uniforms don't work.
We're about to get hit with a pretty good storm, and then no sooner do I say that, then the sky goes from being a real dark color to green. Like it starts shifting to green.
If anybody has never seen green sky, if you see green sky, you should probably find shelter.
And I love severe weather.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm one of those crazy people that if I had the opportunity to, I would go chase tornadoes.
Watching a tornado is fascinating.
I would fly into a hurricane. I'm that type of person. I love severe weather. But seeing this green sky, it like
that eerie green sky.
Yeah, it sent like that bad juju feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach into overdrive, and then I stop what I'm doing. I sit down. I pull out a smoke because I just have this really bad feeling, and I'm watching the skies, and the clouds aren't like shifting like they normally do.
Yeah,
like you sit there and you watch clouds, and you can watch them like sail across the sky and all that. No, these some bitches are rolling. And when I say rolling, I don't mean like, no, like you can literally see striations in the clouds of
like
them
swirls,
rolling, like on a conveyor belt. And the only thought that came to mind is, oh shit.
Yeah.
One good downburst or one good, the air starts pushing down. We're having a hurricane on this base. And so everybody gets told, hey, wrap up what you're doing outside and head in. Get to cover, get away from windows and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully, we didn't have a tornado. But that was the scariest thing. Because, like, I've always made the joke of, if I ever see a tornado, I'm going to sit and watch it.
Yeah.
If I ever see two tornadoes, I'll sit and watch the first one and then jump into the second one. Always made that joke. As a joke.
Yeah.
I don't actually want that to happen. But, like, being unprotected outside in an area where there's high pressure, that storm, if a tornado did drop right there, easy EF2, EF3.
Yeah.
The coolest or the most fun memory of like any sort of weather is actually two-piece. So like when I was young, what got me into watching the weather was actually my mom. Because in one of the areas that we used to live at, we had a porch. And anytime that there was a thunderstorm that came, that, we went over us, me and my mom would go out front to our front porch, sit, and watch the storm. Like, we'd sit and we'd watch the rain come and rain hit, and then the wind start kicking in, and then you'd like see like
sideways rain,
hard rain, and then like a brief pause, and then hard rain, and then a brief pause.
Yep,
and then,
the waves.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite, most treasured memories. The second one actually happened when I was really young, and I can remember only bits and pieces of it because it happened when I was young. Pennsylvania blizzard in 1996. I was 8 years old, and as a kid, I was a short kid. I only hit like 4'11" going into 8th grade.
He was a tiny stick figure.
I was, but we had
stupid car
5-6 feet of snow in the area that we lived in. Like, there are other places like other cities and towns that were around where we're living at that easily got like 10 feet. I think one place got like 12 foot.
Like my
of
mother
snow.
this last winter.
Yeah.
She had 15 feet in 3 days.
Yeah. So needless to say, the city that we were living in, shut down. New Cumberland was shut down, and we needed, like, my parents hadn't gone to the store.
You needed staples.
We needed food. Like, we needed to get some food, and obviously we couldn't drive. We also could not get out of the front door. So my dad jokingly went ahead and said, "Well, just send Zach out the front one of the windows, and he can shovel a path off the porch, so that way we can go to the store." And I'm like, "I'm not going out there." No. My dad ended up getting out. I don't remember how, but he ended up shoveling a path, and then I walked with him to the store. Now, the problem is, I'm like right around 4 foot. This is like 5 foot and up in some areas, snowbanks. My dad had to have a hold of me while we were walking, so that way I wouldn't get lost in the snow, and he wouldn't lose me in the snow.
This is why they invented leashes for children.
Oh no! So I didn't have a leash. I had my my overall snow pants on, and he had a grip on the overall part
on
of
the
snow
strap.
Yep. But the reason why it's one of my favorite memories is walking with my dad, joking around with him, while we're doing this, but then the smell and the crunch of the snow, and looking up and just seeing more snow, like taller than I am snow. And it felt like we were in a different world, and it was fantastic.
Is that the snowstorm that spawned the story that your dad wrote? The book that your dad wrote?
No. So that story, the book that my dad wrote, was like years afterwards. Like 96 is when one of my younger brothers was born. This storm happened at the beginning of 96. My brother was born later in the year, in November of 96. The book that my dad wrote took place when my brother was like 3 or 4. So like 4 years, 3 to 4 years after that. So like
okay.
Right around 99, 2000.
Where is that book?
It's packed away somewhere. I don't remember. But yeah, that was just, it's one of my favorite memories with that, because of the feeling of, I'm still here, I'm still home, but the alienness of it, and then the crunch of the snow. Like, I love the sound of freshly fallen snow when you first walk on it, and that crunch sound. The only sound that beats it is the crunch of, the sound of crunchy leaves in the fall, for me. And then the smell of like that sharp, crisp, clean air and all of that. It's one of my favorite memories that I have. So yeah, that's that. There's something else you wanted to talk about.
Weird ass dreams. Like last night, I had a dream that we were characters in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And our life story, or the story of us, the story of our lives, would only progress if we did main storyline missions. We had side missions, we had like side quests, that type of stuff. But our life would only progress chronologically and story-wise if we did main storyline quests.
So, like, in theory, you could be like 25 forever until you did the next step in your story.
Yes. So
that is weird.
We were like plugging along, everything was going good, and then we were stuck because we were done with the main storyline missions that were already out. It's like we were waiting for a DLC for our lives. Like, it was
waiting for an update.
waiting for an update. And it was so weird because we were sitting here and like our kids didn't get older, we didn't get older, nothing, we stayed in the same pattern with work and home and stuff like that. It was like that weird Groundhog Day feeling, like we were
Well,
stuck doing the same things day in and day out and waiting for an update, a DLC to come out so we could progress further in our story. And then it was just really weird.
well, I mean, like I'm sure that like people who study dreams and psychologists would like see that as like it's a representation of your life, and it's trying to your mind, your subtle the subconscious part of your mind is trying to tell you, you need to do something different because you're stuck in this endless loop, and so it's making it feel like it's a video game, so that way you can be like, okay, what do I need to do? What can I do next to move on? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I like. I don't do it very often, or if I do, I don't remember any of them. But I do like it when I dream, and it's something like that, because for me, it's like it almost reveals something that I'm not making myself aware of, or I'm
Yeah.
willfully ignoring, or something to that
It
extent.
it was just really weird. Like it wasn't a bad dream. It wasn't a good dream. It was just there.
It was just telling. It was like your subconscious mind was just telling you, like, hey, maybe we should try something else.
And that's the thing is like the only thing that kept coming up is that I kept running into a wall with was it was like I was trying to find that download, find that next step, and I was just like going in circles. And then when I finally felt like it was starting to move forward again, bam, I woke up. So I don't know what that next step is supposed to be. It was just really
Yeah.
bizarre to me. Like I've been toying with an idea, and you know me.
Mm-hmm.
I love learning. But like I've been toying with the idea through the encouragement of others at work,
But going back and getting your,
nursing degree.
I mean, if that's something that you feel like you want to do, then
But that's another few years of schooling, and it's like it's one of those where it's like, do I want to continue my education? Yes, 100%.
yeah,
But at the same time, I'm just like, do I want to put myself through that again? Do I want to, deal with the stress of midterms and finals and clinicals and working? And
yeah. I mean,
granted, our children are a lot older now than when I went to college the first time.
there's a lot that goes into it, but like if it's something that you think you want to do, I say go for it.
Yeah, and it's just really weird. It's like I was waiting for that update, and then when I finally start seeing the update downloading, my body's like, nope, time to wake up. Boom.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some weird ones here recently. I mean, there was one I had the other day where,
You actually dreamed and remembered it?
yeah, I yelled.
Holy crap.
Remember? I was having some weird dream that like somebody was stuck, or they were being held captive or something to that extent. And in my dream, I yelled, "Just let her out," or "Just get her out," or something to that extent. But I also yelled it.
Yeah, when you hear
In
that at
real
4
life.
o'clock in the morning when you're sitting up watching something on your phone because you don't feel like trying to find the headset so you don't wake him up, and he screams, just let her out. And I'm like, what the fuck?
And it just so happened to be at that time that the ferret was going nuts trying to get out, wanting to.
No, she had just gotten put back in, and
Well,
she
no,
was
like, I
dead
think-
silent.
No, because there was. No, I'm talking about the other night, the other morning. You had just started to fall asleep. She was going nuts because she wanted out, because she wanted to play and eat.
And she had just got done eating, and I
and
put
she
her
was
back.
scratching, and it was like I heard that, and in my conscious brain and my unconscious brain, like when I was sleeping, I it like translated, and I yelled, "Just let her out!" It thinking I was just talking in my dream, and you heard me yell it, and you're like, "Fine," and you went ahead and you got the ferret out for a little bit, and then once you played with her and messed with her for a bit, then you stuck her back in. Then she went back to sleep.
But you yelled it again.
I don't know that.
But it was just really bizarre. It was like,
And then the other dream that I had, I actually remembered it and remembered enough of it that I wrote it down. And it's the basis of something that I'm working on currently, that I'm hoping to mayhaps make into a novel.
that'd be nice if you could get over that writer's block.
Anyways, but like dreams are meant, like, a lot of people say that dreams, help you remember things that happen throughout the day, and any sort of nightmares or night terrors are like stuff that your brain is twisting so that way you can get over a fear, or your brain, while you're dreaming, your brain twists it and you don't recognize it, and it scares the ever living crap out of you. Something to that extent. You could be trying to process a trauma. You could be trying to get through a breakup, or, a loss of a job, or something to that extent. Like, dreams are supposed to help your mind do it, like a daily download of all the crap that you went through throughout the day. And they're fascinating. Like, some of the, like, everyone at one point in time or another has had that falling dream where you're just falling and then you jolt yourself awake. And nothing prompts it. You just feel like you're falling, and then you feel yourself hit the ground and you jolt yourself awake, but you don't actually see it. But like, so those are like common dreams that everybody has had, but they're fascinating that some of these dreams that people have are just so, like, they're weird, but they're cool, and they're just like, okay, cool, all right. We've all had like those, I'm a superhero dream, I'm a supervillain, or I'm a hero, I've done this, I've done that. And it's just, a lot of people, like, psychologists will say, it's, the mind subconscious trying to make a situation feel better. Other people will, like, non-psychologists will say, oh, that's, you're remembering a past life or something to that extent. And I don't know where a lot of our listeners here fall into it, but believe what you want. Like, I know I have my own personal thoughts. I know you have your own personal thoughts, but, believe what you want. Just don't make it like a central focalized point. Unless it's something that's going to help you out in your daily life, don't make it a super focalized point. And, like, if you don't think that you should be sharing it, or if nobody asks you, don't share it. Keep it to yourself. That is something between you and you. Period. Anyways, I think this is a good time to cut it short. We once again did not talk about what we said we were going to.
I want to read the entirety of the indictment before we make a comment.
He
doesn't want to go through the whole 47 pages, but I want to read it. I haven't had the opportunity to read it because, well, work.
I read it. But I think I'm going to try to reach out to one of the guys.
Yeah.
And see if we can get them on next week with us. So we may have a guest next
Tentatively, we'll say maybe.
But anyways, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Spotify,
yup.
Just please download the episode. It really helps us out, and it shows Spotify that you want to hear more of our insanity. Listener support is open, so if you do feel like you want to drop us a couple bucks, click on the link in the description, and every little bit helps.
Yep.
We're not saying you need to do this. No, if you feel like it, then go for it.
But the good thing is, with the beginnings of our donations and our support, we can always thank the people who donate.
There's that. But as always, thank y'all for listening. We really do appreciate it.
Don't forget to love each other. Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month to those who are allies and those who are, and for those who are not either. Ha!
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Anyways, catch y'all later. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.